Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's Juan Solo here with A Squad Gaming, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you all so much for tuning in today for, you guessed it, some more Ghost Recon. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a mechanic that could be the future of the Ghost Recon franchise. So going all the way back to the original Ghost Recon that released in 2001, that was technically a first-person game, but you could not see the weapon. The term for that game has come to be a reticle-only game, because the only thing that you could see on screen was the actual HUD and your aiming reticle itself. Then in later games, we transitioned to a third-person camera with first-person aiming, and then as of most recently with Ghost Recon Future Soldier, Wildlands, and Breakpoint, we had the ability to aim in first-person and third-person with the default third-person camera. So with that being said, could Ghost Recon transition to a first and third-person camera perspective for the next Ghost Recon game, similar to how other shooter games like Arma have done it in the past? So that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video, but real quick before we hop into it, if you guys go on to enjoy the video, a like rating would be super appreciated. Also, for those of you that may be new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on those post notifications so you do not miss any of my future uploads. Also, for those of you that want to show extra support and help the creation of more content here on the channel, consider becoming a channel member. It will be the top link down below in the description, and it costs less than $1 a month. And once we do get to a certain amount of channel members, I will be doing some channel member giveaways with some A Squad apparel and other things like that. So stay tuned for that, but make sure to go check it out down below in the description. So real quick before we jump into the meat and potatoes of today's video, I also wanted to address something once again here on the channel, because I've seen a number of people in the comment section over the last couple of weeks saying that these videos that I've been doing aren't giving us any real information. So for those of you that have been watching my videos over the last few weeks and giving constructive feedback, your opinions and other things in the comment section, I really appreciate it, because that's the point of these videos. These are discussion videos talking about what we could see in the next Ghost Recon, and I have been compiling the feedback and getting it over to the developers as best I can, for those of you guys that are wondering. Also, these videos are a great way to engage with you, the Ghost Recon community, and it allows me to help breathe life into the franchise in a time where there really isn't a whole lot going on. We don't have anything official from the developers at this point, but this is a great way to keep the fire alive in the Ghost Recon franchise, and I really enjoy engaging with all of you in the comments section, as well as hearing your stories and feedback on what you would like to see in the Ghost Recon franchise. I didn't really mean to get off topic, but I feel like I had to clarify this here before we continue in today's video. So now moving into the main topic of the video, and that is the possibility that Ghost Recon might transition to a first and third person perspective game, depending on what the player wants. And this mainly stems from the first-person mod that was developed for Ghost Recon Wildlands. This was not developed by the developers themselves. It was a mod that was made by a single person that would allow you to experience the entire game of Ghost Recon Wildlands in the first-person perspective. And there were a couple of things that they had to do to work around the clipping issues with the head models in the game, but if a single modder can make an outstanding first-person mod for a third-person game, I'm definitely going to say that the developers could do that as well. And with Ghost Recon Breakpoint, the developers put in so many different features that were fully adjustable by the player, so that the player could play the exact way they wanted to play. When it came to the immersive experience and the world parameters that allowed us to tailor our gaming experience to exactly what we wanted, I think adding a first-person perspective as an option would make this game appeal to a wider audience, because there are a number of people that would prefer to play this game in a first-person perspective rather than a third-person perspective, and vice versa. So if you could simply go into the settings and change your preferred perspective to whatever you wanted, I think that this would help the next Ghost Recon game appeal to a wider audience. Being that there's already a first-person aiming perspective, I don't think it would be too much to ask to add in a first-person perspective while we're just traversing and moving around the world. To some people, that is a much more immersive experience than playing in a third-person perspective. For me personally, I would mainly play the game in third person, but another game that has this option is DayZ, which is made by the same developers that made Arma. And in this game, a lot of the times I would play the majority of the game in third person, but when I would go into a town or something to loot inside of buildings where there was a lot of close quarters, I would almost always switch over to the first person perspective, because it allowed me to see better, and also this would prevent any camera clipping issues with the third person camera, which can happen from time to time in Ghost Recon as well. I think overall Ghost Recon does have its identity in the modern gaming landscape as a third-person tactical shooter, but I don't think it needs to stay that way, especially for the PvE open world campaign that I assume we are probably going to be getting in the next game. When it comes to the PvP, this would be a completely separate issue that would need to be addressed, because if there was a standalone Ghost Recon PvP, that would need to be locked into one perspective for balancing reasons, obviously. And being that the Ghost Recon franchise has mainly been a third-person shooter for the last decade, it would only make sense if they made a PvP game like Ghost Recon Future Soldiers PvP, or a Ghost Recon Phantom style, or even a PvP similar to how Caliber is, with a proper cover system. This video isn't about PvP. I will have a dedicated video talking about that with my thoughts about a standalone PvP game at some point. But if Ubisoft Paris are concentrated on an open world PvE game, giving us the option to choose between a first person and third person perspective would not hurt the game, at least in my opinion. This would also open the game up to having more features and more things to do when it comes to the combat. If you can switch between first person and third person, and there's different variations of each. So for instance, in third person, you can have the ability to be able to third person camera, I guess you could say, around corners. In first person, maybe they could allow a feature that it would allow you to peek around the corner or something like that, that doesn't fully expose your body. Kind of gives you the same aspect of a third person camera peek, but in the first person perspective. Obviously, I'm not a developer. I don't know how this would work for coding purposes, but just being able to have the option to select between first person and third person, depending on your personal preference, depending on how you want to play the game. And even if you want to play the game mainly in third person, like I said earlier, if there's certain situations where you're inside of a building, depending on how the game plays, sometimes it's easier to switch to that first person perspective, just so that you kind of have that tighter experience. You don't have the camera clipping into walls and stuff where you're in close quarters. It's just something that I think we should have the option to do, because the developers were great with Ghost Recon Breakpoint of giving us options, giving us different things that we could adjust in the settings and make it so that we can tailor our experience. I think, like I said, with a first person perspective, this would only increase the value of the game. If anything, it would help the game appeal to a wider audience, because like I said, not everyone enjoys playing a game in the third person perspective. But with that being said, that is where I'm going to wrap it up in today's video. Please let me know your thoughts on all of this down below in the comments. What would you want to see in the next Ghost Recon game? Would you like them to stick to the third person only perspective with the first person and third person aiming systems? Or would you like to see them make it so that we could choose whatever perspective that we wanted in the settings? I think this is something that could be a huge game changer with the Ghost Recon franchise. It's definitely something that could change the public's opinion on the Ghost Recon franchise itself if done correctly. But like I said, that is all for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, you are excited about the possibility of a new Ghost Recon game being in active development and hopefully releasing within the next couple of years, make sure to drop a like on the video and also subscribe if you are new to stay up to date on all content surrounding the Ghost Recon franchise here on the channel moving forward. But that is all for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.